Welcome everyone to Unscripted Coding. Today I have with me my Oculus Quest or Meta Quest 1, and we are once again playing around with virtual reality, trying to figure out how we can create a workable setup, a real programming setup, all in VR. Now, today our setup is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be using Virtual Desktop, which is one of my favorite applications on the Oculus Quest, but we're going to use a bit of a convoluted setup to try and get a little bit more productivity, a little bit better of an experience than I've had so far. What I have here also is a little tiny gadget called a Headless Ghost HDMI dummy plug. You'll find them all over Amazon. These things should be fairly cheap. There's a 3-pack in Canada for $16. I bought this one off AliExpress for about $2.50 Canadian, so $2 American. They should be very, very cheap. And what I'm going to do is plug this into one of my HDMI ports and just hang on one moment here. What these dummy ports do is they plug right to your graphics card. So I've plugged it into the back or motherboard, I suppose, if you don't have a graphics card. And it pretends and it tells your computer that there is um, one additional monitor. So if my monitor right now, I have two physical monitors right in front of me, 1 and 2, but the dummy creates a third fake monitor. Now, of course, since I don't have a physical monitor, I can't see what's going on, but it's very useful if you're going to create and use something like Virtual Desktop for some third party, some software to visualize the three monitors. So that is what is happening right now. And we're going to run Virtual Desktop right here. This is the PC version, and there are differences. If you have an Oculus Quest and you're running it purely off the Oculus Quest alone, you're only limited to one monitor. But if you're using the PC one, using your PC to drive it, you can have as many monitors as you create on your screen. So I am going to try and get this all set up in a moment. In theory, you can use Oculus AirLink, do this all wirelessly, but it's not going to be as great as before. We've tried solutions where we've done everything on an Oculus browser. You only have to carry this thing. But what we're doing today is we need a computer. And you could take, say, your work laptop, something fairly portable, and run this. I'm doing this off my desktop because everything's being done in this room. It makes a lot of sense. But just everything we're doing today, you're gonna need the Oculus headset, of course, but you're gonna need some sort of laptop or computer driving everything behind it. So give me a moment, and I am going to try and get everything running, and there are a couple moving pieces so that we can actually film and capture all of this. And this is why buy us a and 8 frames. Oh, here we go. We're getting much better frame rate, but less clarity. So maybe I can turn it down instead. To note that I really do think this is a problem of trying to capture something aside as well. Right? Some of the clarity. Um, oh, so options reset my orientation. That looks a bit. Let's straight ahead. Okay, here we go. You have the option to curve your screen quite a bit, so this almost insulates me. I had set it to about 75 before. You can turn up and down the screen brightness, purely personal preference. You can change size of the screen to something quite small. And if you had an Oculus Quest 2, you might be able to get away with something a little bit smaller. But in order for me to get the clarity I need to actually do work, it's going to need to be fairly sizable. So you can see I'm rotating my head quite significantly to see all the way around. I think it's about 130, 140 degrees across, so quite significant. And then of course you can move the screens closer further. Or closer. That is just okay. Okay. So you get a lot of the settings because your base videos all that in there. But really, all we care about is seeing sleeper monitors. We don't care about the 3D effect and things like that. What we want to do is actually start working. So I had originally thought to do a leak code, but that's a bit boring. So instead, I am gonna just mock up a little bit in mock up just a tiny bit of text in HTML. Right now, I have a blank page, and this is where I am gonna pull up Visual Studio Code. I've noticed that if you move your head very far, it'll adjust the screen for you, so that's kind of cool. The text is just a little bit small. It is drifting just a tiny bit, and that is a problem. Oh. So I'm keeping my head very still, and you can see there is a drift. And I think part of the problem might be that my controllers are still on. So I'm gonna go and take a look at Virtual Desktop and turn off motion control. And let's see if there's anything else here. Categorize headlock. Oh, there we go. Okay, you don't want headlock. That was awful. No. Let's go here. That makes a lot more. That makes a lot more sense. No headlocking, no drifting. We can leave our controllers alone. You'll see that I have both hands out here in the open, and there's really no reason to use the motion controls. I'm just using it for monitor purposes, and I'm gonna minimize again. Okay. First things first. I am not the strongest typist if I can't see things. I am going to increase the size of my text. It's just too horrible without it. Let's see if there's screen tearing as well. This text is almost impossible for me to see, so I gotta bump it up to 150 or so to actually see it. This is on my JS Fiddle. It's just a template that I use quite often so that I can start somewhere. Right here, background, let's change it to light. This blue is kind of garish. And I think footer, we can do this as light as well. And what I wanted to show you guys is that you can put up Bootstrap 5.0, 8.0, and you can have the benefits of 3 different monitors. I notice right now the other thing is these are 3 monitors side by side. There is no gap in between them right here, like you would with an actual 3 monitor setup. So it's like having one very ultra wide monitor. And I think you can probably even extend this all the way across. So if you have an ultra wide experience, for whatever reason, but we don't really need that, so I'm gonna anchor it over here. And again, probably gonna need a zoom of 100, 200. This is just reference, but I am gonna take a look at the containers and build this out. We have 2 tabs here. I typically work with just 2 monitors, so really if I have 2 to focus on, that would be fine. Now you don't want text white on a white background, so text dark. And there we go. Zoom in again. You have the body, a header, and then you have a main class. Typically, I just start anything with a container. Div class equals. And let's just make the background primary so that we can see it. Let's take a look at their grid example. Class container. So, and I am going to create a couple rows for this container. 2 and 3. And what I'm trying to do is actually create something that's similar to LeetCode, their main page. Now, I'm not going to have the time or the focus. It's just a tiny bit glitchy to try and get this working. But we have 3, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 rows. One more, and we can try background. Oh, there should be no content here. So, we're gonna need a header class. So let's try H3. And what did they have? Last way is developer, and up here we have a new way to learn with a slightly larger, a new way to learn. And let's watch. Here we go. Oh, I could probably actually try and match them. Their nav bar is a dark nav bar with a background of dark. And I am just really going to quickly sketch this out and see how close we can get in a short amount of time. So if you wanted to skip through this, there's not a lot of heavy programming here. So I wanted to mention that you might be seeing just a few graphical glitches here and there. And they certainly do exist, but I think everything is exacerbated by the fact that I'm doing this live while recording a video. Now keep in mind, if you have a really crummy computer, you don't want to be driving 3 different monitors. But on the other hand, I don't think you need a lot to drive this properly, especially if you aren't recording. When I was testing this very briefly before I was actually recording this video, it was fairly smooth. Now I'm not going to say butter smooth because there were glitches as well, but certainly not to this extent. And even now, I think it's very bearable. The most annoying thing is the low frame rate. The slight screen tearing here and there, not really an issue for me. And I am constantly hoping to just upgrade to a higher resolution device, but I don't see a huge reason for me to upgrade from an Oculus Quest 1 to a 2 yet. So I'm waiting to leap a generation. I am going to wrap so I can see what's happening. And we're going to go here. And the other one is we have a row, but there should be 2 columns here. And something like this. Okay, they obviously have a lot of images, but what I do is put down colors of text. Sus, developer, class. We can do a different class for different colors, so text warning. Okay. tiny bit of color. Not sure what else there was. There was primary. Now I noticed all of their P's, all of their text is very gray, and I think that's a horrible practice because you don't have very sharp contrast. It's hard to read, but so be it. Let's match them up. Style color equals 20. Oh, the and we'll carry that across. Probably even lighter than that, but that bothers me quite a bit. For accessibility, it becomes very hard to read, especially those with not the best eyes. And of course, I carried in error all the way through. Let's take this out. Okay, it's a bit grayer. And then I wanted to just throw in a button, and we're not going to go much further than that. I just wanted to throw one last button in here as well. Really just sharpening, reminding myself how Bootstrap. I have a bit of a project myself to redesign some stuff with Bootstrap, so it's always good to have some practice, even some of the basics. And let's take a look. Where did my button go? Here we go. Oh no, it's doing that head tracking thing again. Let me see, I wonder why it turned itself back on. Nobody saw me turn it on, did they? Style. We go. Okay, so we've just really blocked it out very carefully, and you can imagine the background's just one large image, and we have to use these fancy icons and images, but it's a very square, grid-like appearance. And I suppose the other thing we could be doing is adjusting all of these margins to create bigger gaps. But really quickly, we were able to sketch out a grid with Bootstrap. And if you had 3 monitors, you can keep referencing the very leftmost one to see what is happening. And I think at this rate, you don't get to see the. Oh, okay. This is an example. That's why I didn't get to see the side column to see where all of the things are. If we wanted to see typography and wanted to see how to get different text sizes, different styles of text. But really, let's get back to basics here. Is virtual desktop a viable option for you to work on? And I think definitely yes. If you bring your work laptop with you, you plug in one of these dummy HDMI ports, you automatically have the built-in screen and one of the HDMI ports. If you bring a dock, you can even plug additional ports to get 4, 5, 10 different screens. That's all incredibly useful, and those docks, those USB-C ones, aren't even that expensive. So $30 or so to get a USB-C dock with 2 or 3 HDMI plugs. You have one of the dummy HDMI plugs in each one, and a couple bucks along the way. Under $40, you can go grab your Oculus headset and your work laptop, and you can have a 3 or 4 monitor setup, say at a Starbucks. It's not perfect by any means. You saw some of the screen tearing. You can see that I still have to increase the size of everything to make it work well, but because it's all connected to a computer, because the computer is running with it, I have no problems with the keyboard or the mouse. We did dip to 4 or 5 FPS early on. We were able to scroll down the anti-aliasing, the AA, and the super sampling. It would look a lot more clear if we were able to bump this up to 1.5 and to times 4. This is already quite a bit blurrier, and even then, I think it is a very, very sharp experience. So be sure to not film yourself. Don't tax your computer too much. If you're doing this and you're trying to run, I don't know, Blender and a video editing software, no, you're not going to have a very fun time doing it all in VR. But if you're just running VS Code, Microsoft Office, this is very viable. You're going to need the desktop version of Virtual Desktop. The actual computer PC version, you can get it off Steam, and of course a VR headset. But you can even do this with Vive or Steam VR, and I think this is a viable way to go. You probably want a lighter headset as well, because I do feel it in my neck just a little bit, and I think we've been at it maybe 20 minutes or so. But again, I'm very happy. Between this and using Oculus browser, those are the two methods I think makes the most sense. There are a bunch of other options out there that still really janky, really hard to manage, but this one, you're just passing through a couple monitors, so that's why it's able to run so well. If you can get away with it, I think the Oculus browser is decent. They didn't handle the mouse and keyboard very well because they're still running a mobile version of the browser, so it wasn't perfect. I think this is the most viable way, but you are carrying an extra tablet or laptop with you to actually run Virtual Desktop. So I hope you guys found that fun and interesting. Virtual Desktop was always my favorite application. I use it to actually play PC VR games on my computer in my Oculus Quest, just away and untethered from a computer. Oculus Air Link is not quite the same experience, in my opinion. I think others have had kind of conflicting things. But ultimately, you can see that we're running a very reasonable setup, and you have quite a bit of customization as well to set it suitable. The one thing I should say is that these monitors are fairly big, and you need them fairly big to actually see the text. If I'm here, I'm squinting quite a bit to see the text, which to me means realistically you're going to want 2 monitors. 3 is you're moving your neck too much, because you're gonna need your monitors at least about this size to make it work, and you want to move your head about this much. You're just constantly turning left and right. That's not great. But albeit, you can always run, I don't know, some YouTube on the side. And the other thing to note that I have to bring up all the time is I am a very poor typer if I cannot see my keyboard. Because it's not that I'm looking at my keyboard all the time. It's just just being able to see it helps a lot. Try and do it yourself. If you blindfold yourself, are you able to remember all the num keys, what those special characters are? Do you know where your F key is? Because essentially you're doing that right now. I've blindfolded myself or blinded myself to my keyboard and I can't see. That is something you can get used to pretty quick, but it is a problem. You can see I was struggling to create the open and close brackets, the hashtag sign. Those are all bits and problems you have to get used to, but they're not deal breakers by any means. So, in short, this is the most viable option, I think. And if you get a really nice, clear screened headset, I think you can go a lot further than I have today. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. If not, also leave me a comment. Let me know. And this is a space that's constantly developing. So if you guys have any new ideas, see any new updates, let me know and I'll follow up with them. So thanks for watching. And I am going to stop this right here. Thanks.